Hey, it's your girl, your favorite paralegal, aka Cassandra Lynn, and welcome to Legal Doc Talk 24/7. Today I am uh, going to talk about Miss Sonya Massey. Um, that is the incident where she was unalived by a police officer in Illinois. Um, It took me a while to kind of talk about this for several reasons. Work, getting my son ready to go off to college and getting younger kids ready for school. But more importantly, Miss Massey is my youngest son's cousin. On his dad's side. I really don't speak with them, but I found out on Facebook that they are related to Miss Sonya Massey. So they are going through what they're going through regarding this. Um, I don't personally have a relationship with my youngest son's father, so I don't know exactly what's going on their end, but I was made aware that this was their family member. So prayers to him and the rest of his family regarding this incident. But I did want to shed some light because this is stuff that we really don't talk about in a community. I am real passionate when it comes to civil rights, especially for those who are unalived at the hands of crooked police officers. I've gone through protests, even when George Floyd, um, when we had that protest out here in Dallas. So, there's a lot of things that we were trying to put into motion, and it didn't stop there. For me, not only with protests, but a lot of people don't realize that I also, as a freelance paralegal, I get to work with different attorneys, and I've had the pleasure to work on civil rights complaints for Mr. Attorney Lamar, who works alongside Attorney Ben Crump on, certain civil rights cases when it deals with officers and the victims. So today is a little bit special, and I do want to highlight a couple of things that Attorney Ivy Lamar, and Attorney Crump is currently working on, and that's going to be probably going to be on the later of the weeks with different civil rights case updates. If you don't follow me on my business page for on Instagram, it is Your Favorite Paralegal, and that's my business page. So a lot of the attorneys that I have on there, uh, Ben Crump being one of them. I actually repost, press releases and things that he posts, as well as Attorney Ivy Lamar. So be Ivy Lamar. Let me say his name correctly. But going into Miss Sonya Massey's case, it is very unfortunate the events that took place, and by whom, that I'm sure everybody who's on social media have seen on Instagram and TikTok, things that have been developed over the course of when this incident first aired. We found out a lot about Mr. Grayson. I don't even want to say his name. I don't even want to give him the attention. I just want for justice to be served. Um, so let's first of all, there's a couple of things that I want to go through. The first being his actual docket. Um, the incident, from what I have seen, took place on either July 4th or July 6th. The case was filed on July 18th. If everybody can see this, it shows that he has a total of 5 counts. The first one is first degree, second count, first degree. So it did take place July 6th. Third count, first degree. Fourth count, aggravated battery with firearm. Fifth count, official misconduct. And yeah, and so there's a total of 5 counts. Let's see, on the 18th, he actually appeared. Let's see, it says defendant Sean Grayson present. The people by Aisha Mary E. Rogers present. The defendant and the person in the custody of the sheriff Sangamon County. Call for arraignment. Attorney Daniel Flutz present in open court on behalf of defendant. Defendant furnish a copy of the indictment. Advised of the nature of the charges and the maximum penalties. Plea of not guilty entered. Pre-trial discovery order entered. Arguments heard on the people's verified petition and deny pre-trial release. People exhibits A and B tendered. I need to go in and see if I can obtain a copy of that because I want to know exactly what that affidavit stated. Let's see. And then on the 24th, just all the media submitted their their requests so that way they can get more information on this. So that's the docket details. This article through cbsnews.com was today. I'm going to kind of go over there. Like I said, if you have not gone on TikTok or Instagram, I forgot this one guy's name on TikTok, but I've been going to his page and I swear every day there's like a new development. It's like these questions, why? And that's what we're trying to get the answers to. It's like she had a connection with this officer. And I think I was speaking with my sister on this earlier because she didn't know the full extent and I kind of gave her like the cliff notes to it. But um allegedly Sonya visited a hospital where Sean Grayson's wife works at. There may have been some type of argument or altercation. And in the process, Sean was called, his wife, how they talk on the phone and you tell them about your day. Um, Now fast forward, Sonya calls the police because she believes that somebody is in her backyard or at the back door. Somebody's coming around the house and it's making her feel uncomfortable. First of all, Sean is the first to arrive on the scene. That's already suspicious. In my personal, I think he was already at the house. Just, I don't even know what his or intentions were, um, but not um, they were not good. And then for you to once you called the police and you make like you are just now arriving, you knock on her door, and the first thing you ask her is, "How are you doing mentally?" What cop ever says that to anyone? Like when she opened up the door, what gave you an indication that something was not right with her mentally? Why would you ask that? That's the question that I want to know. Um, but we're going down, and I don't want to call this a rabbit hole. We're going through facts. Okay, we're going through facts and speculations, but I wouldn't call it a rabbit hole. But this incident is something that has built up over the years with this man in law enforcement. From what I've heard, he's been discharged from the military. He has worked at several police departments, and he's got trouble at some of them. It's just like I don't understand you. I don't know. From personal experience, I don't know why he was discharged from the military, but you know, one thing they need to go through evaluations and all that, especially if you're not right in the just right mentally. um and then having to go into the police department. Like, what is the criteria for you to become a policeman in the state of Illinois? So it's like all these questions that I have, and I'm definitely going to stay on top of this one because this is a brutal one. Yet again, we have another African American died by the hands of the policeman. And if something was going on with her mentally, that is why we are working on trying to get a mental health resource officer or somebody to assist these policemen on the scene. They should be the first one. If you knew that there was something going on with her mentally, why are you the first person there? It should be a specialist there and you assisting that specialist in case something goes down. That's the whole part of why we went so hard with George Floyd. And it was just not just I mean, you have a lot of people that have gone through these things. And some of them had mental issues. And that's why we are saying defund the police. We're not saying strip it. I kid you guys not. I have to go find the videos and post them on here so y'all can see what we went through during the George Floyd protest. But after that, I was going to meetings. We got the Dallas Police Department budget to see exactly where their funds are. Like, how are their funds being used? And if we see that funds are going to unnecessary stuff, then we're going to say, okay, we feel that these funds should be reallocated to a mental health specialist, or, and we got some things done, which is so awesome. It's still, I can say, um, I can say that it's still in the works. We've made progress, but I feel that it can get better. But that's why we say defund the police. We're not stripping the police department. No, we're seeing where funds are used, that where it can be used in, a setting such as this, a mental health specialist. These budgets that I personally see that we witness are going to parties. I asked when the last training was for incidents like this. They didn't have training for years. I'm talking about 5, 7 years was the last training. What? Why? Y'all need to be allocating these funds to train officers properly in the event they get these calls where there's a mental health issue. Like, what? But anywho's, I'm rambling on. Let's get to this. So, shout out to CBSNews.com. They updated this in regards to some other cases prior to this that Sean has got involved in. So questions have been swirling about why now fired Sangamon County, Illinois Sheriff's Department Grayson. Oh, Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson, now charged with murder and the pow-powing that unalived Sonya Massey earlier this month, was hired by law enforcement agencies multiple times. One of the incidents in Grayson is accused of having trouble obeying orders. So this is a man that does not like to follow orders, and he has been hired by multiple law enforcement agencies. I really want to know why he was discharged from the military. So one of the incidents in which Grayson is accused of having trouble obeying orders happened during his fifth police job with the Logan County Sheriff's Office, where he worked from May 2022 to April 2023. Grayson refused an order by a superior to terminate a high-speed chase on Illinois 121 over a traffic infraction in which his speed at times reached 110 miles per hour. Grayson told his superiors he was about to terminate the pursuit, but he did not stop. He did, however, turn his lights and siren off while keeping going anyway until he hit a deer. Grayson was questioned by the chief and top staff after the crash in Logan County, where Illinois is the county seat. He later admitted to violating a direct order from a supervisor about the termination. Grayson also asked by the staff if he agreed that there was a mountain of police policy violations in place against him. When asked how he was still employed by the Logan County Sheriff's Office after 7 months, Grayson said he did not know. Hmm. Yet he continued to get over a pass over and over again. Even before Grayson was hired by Logan County, there were warnings from another past employer, the Auburn Police Department, where Grayson worked in 2022. CBS News obtained notes from the Auburn police officer to a representative in Logan County about Grayson's prospective employment there. The notes states Grayson struggles with writing. Grayson was very aggressive with getting drugs. The chief expressed concern that Grayson was too aggressive and that Grayson posted his drug on Facebook. And the chief called him a bragger and he was not great with evidence left items laying around the office. Despite that reference, Grayson's discharge for misconduct during his military services, his two past DUI convictions, and other disciplinary incidents in his 6 law enforcement jobs, Grayson still got jobs in Logan and then Sangamon County, where he was entrusted to help residents in need like Massey. The whole thing makes me sick, said Sangamon County Board Commissioner Mark Ayers, who sits on the jail committee that authorizes the hiring of sheriff's deputies. Ayers said he was never informed of any negative notes about Grayson prior to his hire, and his background was not shared with the committee. He said his committee only approves salaries and does not review their backgrounds. I would never bring one I would never bring on someone, that's what it's supposed to be. I would never bring on, yep, someone who has a troubled past or record ever, Ayers said. Ayers said he wants a review of all current Sangamon County deputies to ensure no red flags were missed in their backgrounds. This here is a clear indication of who you know. And if it is true that his fiance's father is the chief at that police station and he hired him because that's his son soon to be son-in-law, that explains it. Early on the morning of Saturday, July 6th, Grayson and another Sangamon County deputy responded to Massey at her house near Springfield, where she was home alone and concerned about a possible prowler. Massey's family continues to seek answers following the release of body cam footage showing Grayson shot in or pow-powed her in the head as she crouched down in the kitchen, and he ordered for her to drop a pot of water that had been on the stove. Grayson was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, aggravated battery with a firearm, and official misconduct. Grayson has pled not guilty. My question is, how did you even know that that was a pot of water on the stove? It could have been a pot of ravioli or a pot of spaghetti sauce or a pot of chicken broth. I believe he was peeping through the back window. This is a photo. It says auto recordings reveal Officer Sean Grayson had disciplinary issues 20 months before he saw Sonya Massey. Audio recordings obtained by CBS News reveals that 2 years prior to the pow-powing of Sonya Massey in her Springfield, Illinois home, Deputy Sean Grayson was reprimanded for putting false information in his police reports. He was then working for the Logan County Sheriff's Office. Why y'all did not terminate this man immediately? If we can't trust what you say and what you see, we can't have you in our uniform, a supervisor can be heard saying. Grayson, who was a deputy with the Sangamon County Sheriff's Department when Massey was unalived, has pleaded not guilty to powing or unaliving charges. His attorney declined to comment. This is wild. I now want to show you guys the family and attorney Ben Crump's. This is an update that was provided, I want to say 3 days ago. And we'll talk about it after we get into this. So hold on, let me just make sure that I am, because I know I'm not able to share. There we go. I wanted to make sure that you guys are able to hear this.
And what to do when you're stopped by the police. Now we have to tell ourselves, our daughters, our mothers, our sisters, our cousins. As I watched the video, I thought, this is not murder. This is an assassination. Judge for yourself. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our very esteemed attorney, Benjamin Crupm.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Teresa, for helping this family and helping the community in these difficult times. I'm attorney Ben Crump, along with attorney Natalie Jackson, attorney Paul Greenkey, and attorney Jennifer Hightower. We have the honor of representing the family of Sonya Massey. Present with us today is her son Malachi Massey, her uncle Raymond Massey, as well as his daughter Shadia Massey. Also with me and Ms. Haley is Cliff Jones, who's going to assist me today as we talk about the results of the autopsy. Before we do that, I want to also talk about an update as we continue to probe and find out all the reasons why this tragedy happened.
With HoneyBook, you can make sure your marketing business is as polished and professional as you really are. Here's how. I'm Millie, a content creator, coach, and business owner. If I start
leading up before the killing and the aftermath of the killing, we talked about how the family wanted a thorough investigation as to why they didn't know until 24 hours later that the person who had shot Sonya Massey was a law enforcement official. Why weren't they told that from the very beginning when they showed up asking who did this?
And I want to say it's very important that the family is notified as soon as possible. When you delay in getting or, telling the family exactly what it would be different if they were unaware of who her family was, if they couldn't find information, things of that nature. But I'm pretty sure that they knew that she had a family, especially if this is not the first time that I believe Grayson knew of her, or that's a whole different, scenario to go under. But this gives them too much time to get rid of evidence. So I am glad that they came out with these body cams that they did, because we would still be in the dark as to what actually happened. But 24 hours is way too long for them to actually notify the family and let them know what happened to Miss Massey.
Malachi talked about how he was on the phone with the hospital officials, and he kept asking, they kept saying somebody shot her in her face, and told him in graphic detail at 5 o'clock in the morning what happened to his mother, but never told him who. Shadir and Jimmy went to the house at 6 a.m. that morning when law enforcement was all around. They kept asking the questions, who did this? What happened? Nobody told them that it was the sheriff's deputy, Sean Grayson, who had shot her in the face. They seemed to be led to believe that it was some prowler or something, because they started asking questions. Every time they would ask questions, they would be giving questions. What was the history between her and the neighbor? And so it was troubling. So we wanted investigation, and I say the family passionately wanted an investigation into that there, because they are suspicious of everybody and everything. Wouldn't you be if this happened to your daughter?
I'm sitting over here talking and didn't realize. So, what I was going to say, they mentioned the neighbor. So they were going to pin this on the neighbor, knowing darn well who unalived her. That's bizarre.
And then we talked with the Department of Justice because we want to know more about the history of this sheriff's deputy who so flagrantly and senselessly shot and killed Sonya Massey with no remorse, no humanity after he did it, evidenced by the video. People contacted our office since we've had press conferences, Teresa, and this is why we continue to try to fight not only in the court of law but in the court of public opinion, because we know we have to fight to get justice. We don't assume that it's just going to happen for black people in America, even when we got all the evidence in the world, all the visual evidence in the world, we still don't take it for granted. We know the lessons of Laquan McDonald and how the officer got a slap on the wrist, even though that evidence was on video, ocular proof of the crime. And we have been made aware that there were unsubstantiated allegations of excessive force by this officer allegedly on 2 occasions. One dealing with an African American who received injuries from allegedly a tasing, but regrettably, before the findings were concluded, the individual wouldn't cooperate because apparently he was dealing with the criminal charges. And so he apparently didn't trust the system to do right by him. So we know that that individual is now considering coming forward. Even though you have to understand, a lot of people, a lot of minorities in America don't come forward for many reasons. They don't call the police for many reasons because things normally don't turn out good for us when we call the police. Obviously, Sonya Massey is Exhibit 1, but we're hoping and encouraging him to come forward and tell what happened with his interaction with Deputy Sean Grayson. And then the other individual we know is out there. We don't know what this situation is, but apparently they also complained about excessive, unnecessary force inflicted by the deputy. And the question really goes back to what Sonya's father, Mr. Wilburn, said. with the 2 DUIs, with the reprimand from the Army over serious misconduct, with the 6 different law enforcement agencies in 4 years, with whatever answers he answered in the questionnaires when he was interviewing for the job. When you asked about why did you leave this department, why did you resign from this, were there red flags missed? And should he have been hired in the first place by the sheriff's department? Those questions only get louder. You know, Malachi and Cliff Jones and us, we asked that question, you know, DUI guilty convictions? How do you even have a driver's license?
Who that part? That part. You have 2 DUIs. How are you even being able, and then you disobeyed an order from a superior when it went as far as that traffic infraction, you going over 110 miles per hour on, the highway or wherever he was. This man did not need to be a deputy. This man did not need to be in law enforcement. Period.
Much less getting a job as a sheriff's deputy. Many questions to be answered, and so we will be sending the formal letter to the Department of Justice with those things that we have been made aware of, and they have promised the family that they will work with the local agencies and they will try to get answers to all of these allegations of other instances of excessive force. And before you hear from Uncle Raymond Massey and Shadia Massey, and finally from Malachi Massey, we want to take a few minutes to go over the autopsy report because I think it's important. And Teresa, I'll tell you when to turn it over. And you all, I want to thank State Attorney John Heiser for making sure he got the autopsy to the family for transparency, and that he's providing it to you all. Even though the family takes great exception with the Sheriff's Department, they have been very grateful that Mr. Heiser's office has tried to be very transparent and very respectful to them as victims. And so he made sure that this autopsy report was released, and it should give you a lot of the things, answer a lot of the questions that you all asked previously. The biggest thing on the autopsy are the findings, and we will go through those. The conclusion is based on the information available to me and on the autopsy findings. It is my opinion that Sonya Massey, a 36-year-old black woman, died as a result of a gunshot wound to the head. And then it goes on to in more detail, and it says the gunshot wound of the head, A, the entrance was beneath the left eye. The injury, proliferation of the left internal
Attorney Crump be cracking me up. I'll be just like him. Them some big behind medical words.
I'm looking at this word because I know it's not subdural artery, but it's a artery that is the blood vessel right beneath her eye. The exit posterior left surface of the upper neck. Associated injuries, skull fracture, subdural hemorrhaging. Direction, front to back, downward and slightly right to left. Range, no soot or gunpowder stippling on the skin. If you could turn it over. And I would tell you, they had an anatomical model that is very important. Here, obviously, you have Sonya Massey with her beautiful smile. But you have, as they said, the injury right beneath the left eye. And then how the exit is posterior left surface of the upper neck, below the ear, below her hairline.
I'm sorry, I had to pause this because this officer pow-powed her in the head, not the lower extremities, not the stomach, but her head.
Now, why this is so significant, is it confirms that Deputy Sean Grayson shot in a downward trajectory. He shot in a downward trajectory. This autopsy findings, coupled with the video where we see her ducking, saying, "Sorry, sir, sorry." He shot when she's making a motion coming up. That's how you get the downward trajectory. And you see on the video his arms. He aims down. He literally aims down. You see his arms brace in a downward trajectory. And we know that he walked 2 to 3 steps to his right, out away from the counter, where it was, we believe, from objective observation, to get a better shot at Sonya Massey. And when Sonya Massey was staring at the barrel of his gun, we see on the video what she did. She stooped down and said, "Sorry, sorry." And we believe that the bullet, the shot, was shot while she was in a stooping position coming up. And that's how you get the downward trajectory. And
people everywhere are recommending GoodRx.
My neighbor showed me the app. It's helped me save on my kids' bills.
GoodRx.
the autopsy confirms what everybody already knew on the video, that this was just a senseless, unnecessary, excessive use of force. Completely unnecessary. Certainly not justified. I mean, how can you justify this? She's all of 5'1", 110 pounds. He's approximately 6'5" tall. approximately 260 pounds. Completely excessive. Completely excessive. And so we will continue to provide you updates, evidence as we get it, because we're not taking for granted that America want to see Sonya Massey like Deputy Sean Grayson saw her. We want to make sure that America sees her as a human being worthy of dignity and respect and consideration. We don't take it for granted. Your actions speak so loud we need not hear your words. And until we get a conviction and a sentence, we will continue to keep our foot on the gas and full steam ahead and fighting for justice for Sonya Massey. Full steam ahead. We understand far too often, especially as it relates to black women in America, there's not equal justice. There's not equal justice. And just like Sonya Massey said, and I continue to use her words, until this discriminatory criminal justice system gives full justice for the death of Sonya Massey, we rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Justice for Sonya Massey. Justice for Sonya Massey. Justice for Sonya Massey.
I just wanted you guys to hear the autopsy results, to kind of give you guys a picture of actually what happened, when the officer unalived her. This is, I don't even know what to say. I'm just really disgusted. I'm fed up. Um, what I do want to say is a lot of people are going to blame this on the president. I don't care who's in office. I don't care if it's Obama or Trump or George Bush or Biden or Kamala Harris. They can do so much on the federal level, but it comes within the local, the state, but preferably the local. As you see, this officer was hired at local law enforcement agencies. I repeat, he was hired at local law enforcement agencies. So the people who is over the hiring, so for instance, the sheriff, do you know that you guys vote for the sheriffs in your county, the judges, whether the district, the county courts, the JP, the municipal courts, you guys vote these people in. So it's not something that Biden or Harris or Trump or George Bush or Obama has a play in. This is what you have a play in. You guys can control who, for instance, for these police departments, who is hiring these animals such as Sean Grayson. So when you go out there to vote, guys, it's not about this presidential election, even though it is. That's on a bigger platform. But you also need to be aware of what's going on in your local community and in your state. That's where it starts first. We got to work our way from the bottom and then go into the top. That's how this works. So I wanted to bring this to you guys. I am going to be shedding more light on this. Definitely tell me your thoughts. Leave a comment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this video. Until then, you guys have a blessed night.